What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Premium Podcast. I am your host, David McDonald, and today we have a very good topic of discussion, and it has to do with Rich Paul and his way or his approach to negotiating contracts for his new free agent talent. Now, Rich Paul is the co-founder and CEO of Clutch Sports Group since 2012. Clutch Sports represents some of the biggest athletes across the professional sports, including NBA, NFL, and WNBA. He founded Clutch Sports in 2012 in his hometown of Cleveland, Ohio. And some say and some know that he is a really dear friend of LeBron James. And that's some of the reason why he is where he is. But none of that matters. If a man is doing well, or if a person is doing well, a human being is doing well at their craft, I think that it only deserves respect. So the thing about this talk, so I was watching Gilbert Arenas the other day, his show, and I saw Rich Paul. Rich Paul is somebody that I follow because I appreciate the way he moves in business. And he brought up a really important part with regard to his strategy, and I extracted from that. He's highlighting the element or the principle of immediate gratification versus long-term gratification. And so what that means is oftentimes we're so hard on ourselves. To the inspiring entrepreneurs out there, be and have big goals, right? Aspire to do great things in life, but understand that it takes time for your business to season. It takes time for your ideas to season, for you to season, to even be ready for these opportunities. And I believe from this video, Rich Paul does a really good job just talking about his mental approach when it comes to negotiating. I mean, I think he's at $900 million over the last few years and contracts negotiated for players. So again, roses to Rich Paul, but let's check this out. And I think he has a very important lesson embedded in what he's saying.
Understanding it was about, for me, is always fit over pick. I really don't care what pick you are. I mean, we got lottery picks in the building, second round pick in the building. But for me, it's just being able to see past a commission or an ability to go to the next draft pick per se and say, look what I did. It's more so being able to position these guys to where you have what I would say growth opportunity. So as I'm looking at the situation with the Bucks.
All right. So you heard what he said. He has the ability to show these new players coming in or established players growth opportunity. And I think for him, and I talk about this in some of our other talks, it really comes down to being able to see past the money. When you're talking about doing really good in business, the moment that you change from I need to make an exuberant amount of money to I want to serve this many people, your business model changes, the way you operate and interact with people changes. If somebody says, hey, I don't want to do business with you, your attitude and your response to it changes, because then it becomes more of a conversation of alignment of energy.
I'm looking at a kid 6'7", 220, right? Knows how to play in terms of talent, needs to learn how to play in terms of NBA, but you need time. So when you look at their ownership group, Jimmy Haslam, new owner with Wes Edens, okay, they're not going anywhere. When you look at their front office, John Horst, championship front office. When you look at their vets, Giroux, Giannis, and Chris Middleton, all great guys. So when you place a kid in that environment, right, less becomes more for him to be successful. And if you give him the information to where he understands the environment I'm going into and what I need to do and what my role needs to be, now you go from having 2 years guaranteed, getting that third year guarantee. And as you know.
All right. So very important. Less becomes more to a young guy going into an organization with a strong organizational base. And you see what he said, if they know what they're going into. So the way I learn this, right, is he is pretty much saying, if you work your tail off, right? If you are in the gym, if you are, there before practice starts and there after practice starts and you're putting up shots and you're making things happen, right? You have 2 years to prove yourself. You need to stay healthy. You need to stay focused. And that's what's going to get you long-term or longevity in the NBA as a career, right? As a profession, and guarantee you those larger contracts later down the road. Now, it seems so simple, right? But this, just the way that he articulates this, it just goes down to, if you were to start a business, right? And this is why I align with this, because I'm a businessman. If I was to start a business, I already know, because I've had businesses where I haven't made any money in that business for 1 or 2 years, 3 years, right? It took a while for everything to season in order for me to start actually taking a salary. And so what he's saying is yes, you made it to the NBA. Congratulations. Let's get this, first initial contract, but let's not be a one-hitter quitter where you play 1 year, second year you get injured because you're not treating your body right. You're kind of disrespecting the blessing, or, maybe, just by the grace of God, for some reason you get injured. You can bounce back from that, right? But you got to have the mindset and you got to be thinking long-term, right? Gratification versus the immediate term. So sacrifice everything, or enjoy the fruits of your labor, just a bit, but sacrifice a lot more, right? Now that you've made it, so that you can build your value 2-3 years down the road.
You just need bad attempts.
Mm-hmm.
Can't hit a home run without that, or single or double or triple. So allowing him to have that without the pressure, because if you go 8, now you got to show and prove. So sometimes it's not all about the pick. And so I like to evaluate that for guys situational. Prior to that, I did the same thing for Marjon Beauchamp the year before.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to be open-minded to it. And you got to remember, most families, they want to go the highest because the finances is aligned with it. But if we get a little bit for this long and nothing else for this long, then we back to square one.
Absolutely.
But if we get a little bit for this long and then a lot for this long,
right,
we further down the road. And so that's my
and we that right there, just that one bar is, I think, that's why he deserves his flowers, man, because it's just everything that we do is mindset. The way that we approach, everything in life is mindset. And sometimes, like he said, thinking you have to get this really large contract, right, in order to be successful, it does put more pressure on guys, because now it's like, man, I got to do all of this for 8 years, right? And I'm locked into this contract. God forbid something happens to me. And then boom, something happens. You feel that pressure. And then now you're back at square one. Comparatively, if you say, all right, I'm going to do this in 2-year chunks, and I'm going to grind, I'm going to do the best that I can to be the best that I can. And then that second or third year, boom, or excuse me, that third or that fourth year, you get that extension contract, but you've already solidified some millions, putting your family to the place of generational wealth that you weren't before you entered the league. It's powerful stuff. And I think, oftentimes we can kind of get lost in this idea that we need everything now. And so this really spoke to me. My hat's off to, Rich Paul. And I feel for all of us that are here, that we're aspiring entrepreneurs, just be easy on yourself. Give yourself some time to season, and everything will always work out. This is your host, David McDonald, on the Premium Podcast, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Much love.